Boom! Video is recording. We are live here. I'm on YouTube live, and I'm recording this video right now here live. So before all you guys hear it, if you wasn't on the live chat, you're hearing it for the first time now. They're getting the first exclusive, seeing how a video is made live and what I go through in the process. Well, here we are in the middle of this process, and we're going to go all the way back to N.W.A. That's right. Did you know that they tried to make a Y2K N.W.A? And I'm not talking about Philly. I'm talking about what really went on. And we finna get to the gist of that right now. When N.W.A broke up, there was an entire movement of other people trying to fill that spot. And what happened was, people decided that we want to emulate this. This was a movement to start something, and the groups were piling out and coming out. Ghetto Boys is already ruling and doing their thing. But in the early 2000s, Dr.Dre wanted to kind of relive and bring back that, that N.W.A flavor. Now, they tried to do an N.W.A together called Niggas Without Easy. And that's during the height of the 93, things that was going on with Easy. And try to cut Easy out. Now, what they did was say Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and Ice Cube. That was the Y2K N.W.A. That's why they were on tour together, and then they were going to come out with an album and be the Y2K N.W.A. So fans were, intrigued. Most of them were feeling like, wow, that would be exciting to have a Y2K N.W.A. And people didn't take to it. They put a filler out to see how people would respond to it, with Eminem being in the N.W.A. And it wasn't a positive response to certain people on the West Coast who loved Eazy-E. It was like, so Eminem's supposed to be Eazy-E? Man, it was a chat room thing, but it was also a test research to see how people were going to respond to that. And they just like, look, we ain't got to call it N.W.A, but it's like N.W.A is back. That's that type of feel. But we ain't got to do all that. But yes, it was a reality. So for the guy that asked me that question, and I said I'm going to make a video about it and talk about it, and I was just in the live chat, which ended. Why do a whole video on live chat when they could just hear some of the beginning of it? Eminem was down for doing this. He was down. Anything Dre wanted to do, he was pretty much with it. But they wanted to give you a glimpse of it, and I thought the tape would have been amazing had they pulled it off. I think it would have been an amazing movement for hip hop to show that they were going to bring Eminem in that fold. He had already blew up with the Marshall Mathers LP, and this is right after that. They're doing this, and they decided to go in a different direction that was similar to it when he had more like aggressiveness to his music, but it was based off the situations that was happening around him, where he was coming off more like Tupac than like a Eazy-E type, like fighting systematic things, even though N.W.A was about that, and so was Eminem. Him talking about political and social issues on the records. That's what they wanted to do. And, you know, Eminem was going to come in with his verses and things like that, like when they did White America, and talk about things in society that's going on. Dre wanted to go back to doing those type of conscious records, you know, more, you know, and you got Snoop to come in and they go into some party, high upbeat, you know, tempo records. But this idea and concept just wasn't going to work out. And the reason why is they had the formula. And this, you all know who this is. Jimmy's idea. This is Jimmy Iovine. You know, and once Jimmy said, you know, it'd be a great look if we get N.W.A. back and get people back around the idea. That would be awesome. You know, that's Jimmy. All of that is his idea. But it's a formula that they've milked forever. They emulated it without having to call it N.W.A. to offend people. And you watched it consistently. And no one has said anything about it. You've seen it already. It's happened. Other people have tried to emulate it with their own movements, but it's all been based on N.W.A. And this formula, which 50 had, was based on a concept of like N.W.A., but really not. They was just a group of guys who were basically solo artists rapping in a group format but destroying the records. And then they could make party records. So G Unit was kind of like N.W.A., but they wasn't trying to give you no messages. Their message was get money, and that's it. But the formula at Interscope stayed the same, because once Cube left to do something else, they no longer, you know, he went more into film. They just replaced his 50 Cent. 50 Cent, Eminem, Dre, and Snoop. That's the new formula. And you look at that and you say, okay, that's the new N.W.A. Then what happens? 50 Cent basically falls out of the fold. And now you're going into the new era. Well, who's the new N.W.A. now? Dr.Dre, who barely around, Snoop, Eminem, and now it's Kendrick Lamar. So they're going to keep that moving. And they're going to keep that going. That system, which was based off N.W.A., and keep that rolling. And that's where we are right now. But Eazy-E was going to bring N.W.A. back himself. Without Dre. But that's another story.